Morning everybody, Miss Bird here. I hope you're all well and you are doing all the work that's being provided. This week you've got me and we are looking at writing a speech. So we're going to be looking at some persuasive features that are usually found in most speeches. So a little starter, just to get you thinking, if you had a dream for the world, what would it be? And this idea of persuading again, how would you persuade others to agree with you? They might not necessarily agree with what your dream for the world was. So persuasive features. Think quickly about the idea of a speech. Why do people give them? When do people give them? Can you think of any famous examples, maybe throughout history? Can you think of any specific lines that you can remember? Anything that makes them stand out? What type of person might give a speech as well? So just spend a couple of minutes thinking about that. And then we'll move on to thinking about our devices and looking at two different speeches from history. Next, let's think about the devices we're going to use then. And you can see down here in the bold, I've said deforest. That's just something to maybe help you think about the idea of the features that might go in it. So we've got D for direct address, A, alliteration, F for facts, O, opinions, R, rhetorical questions and or repetition, emotive language, statistics and triples or triplets, however you might want to say them. So if you recognise these rhetorical devices, that's amazing, that's great. Why don't you write down your own definition kind of in the space provided, or jot them down on a piece of paper. If you need a little bit of extra help, move on to the next slide. That will give you the definitions, and if you want some extra help after that, we've got the answers on the slide afterwards. But think about it first of all, do the ones that you can do, and then skip one or two slides depending on how much help you need with the definitions. We need a little bit of extra help then. So we've got some of the meanings. So we've got numerical evidence, which suggests that the idea is a fact. We have words or phrases which appeal to the reader's emotions. List of three used to add emphasis. A thing that is known to be proved to be true. Repeated use of the same initial letter to draw attention to keywords. A question which requires no answer or kind of makes the reader think. A view or a judgment formed about something, not necessarily based on fact or knowledge. A repeated word or phrase for emphasis and to draw your attention. Use of the word you to make the reader feel as though the writer is talking to them. Those are your options. Try and match them up. Right, here are your answers then. So we've got direct address. Use of the word you to make the reader feel as if you're talking to them. So that could be you, we, us, together. It's trying to make the crowd and the audience be involved with the speech. Alliteration then, used the repeated use of the same initial letter to draw attention to key words. Fact, something that's true. Opinion, obviously that's a judgment formed. It's your opinion, isn't it? Rhetorical question, a question that requires no answer but gives the reader time to think. Repetition, when something is repeated to draw attention to it. Repetition, when something is repeated to draw attention to it, when it maybe is specifically really important. Emotive language, I always think of the idea of the EMO and the emotions, so thinking about feelings, so it's to obviously appeal to the reader's emotions and feelings to get them feel a certain way. Statistics, so you'd have done those in maths, I should imagine. It's numerical evidence, so 63% or 20% of people, anything to make your argument seem like it is based in facts. You can usually make those up. And triplets, usually means three, doesn't it? So it's a list of three, so it could be adjectives or anything to add emphasis. So big, bold, beautiful, anything you want to do there really for 3 things to add ideas. The first speech then that we're going to have a little look at today is an extract from a really, really famous speech by Martin Luther King, and it's usually called "I Have a Dream" because that line is, or you'll see in a minute, it's repeated so much throughout the actual speech itself. So have a couple of minutes, have a look at the things on the screen. What do you know about Martin Luther King? How did this speech help to change the course of history? That's a difficult one at the moment, isn't it? We're still having trouble with the idea of race and equality at the moment as well, aren't we? Lots of things in the news at the moment. But think about Martin Luther King. I've got the YouTube link there as well. Watch it and see how the crowd react to him. I'll read this, the extract of the speech for you. Obviously, as I said, speeches are meant to be read aloud, aren't they? And what I'd like you to do is think about how he's used persuasive devices and rhetorical features here to engage the audience. So what can you spot? Maybe you want to highlight them, you want to underline them, whatever you want to do. And how and why have they been used? What are they doing to the speech? What are they bringing to the speech? Go back to Mississippi, go back to Alabama, go back to South Carolina, go back to Georgia, go back to Louisiana, go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities, knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair. I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even in the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the colour of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. Right, let's do exactly the same with this extract from Churchill's speech then. So again, highlight the language features, what's been used, why has it been used, and what kind of impact and effect would it have on the audience. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and on the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. And even if, which I do not believe for a moment believe, this island or a large part of it was subjugated and starving, then our empire beyond the seas, armed and guarded by the British fleet, would carry on the struggle until, in God's good time, the new world, with all its power and might, steps forth to the rescue and to the liberation of the old. So you've had a look at the Martin Luther King speech and the extract from Churchill. Now it's your turn, really. So I would like you to choose a topic. It can be about absolutely anything. It's completely over to you. So anything that you're interested in. If you're stuck, I've got some kind of questions and statements in the kind of green box underneath. You can use any of my ideas or and make them your own, or anything that you are interested in. Remember, we're going to be delivering a speech to our classmates about whatever your chosen topic is, okay? So it's kind of over to you now to get you thinking. So it's over to you now. So start your planning. you can use the mind map sheet here. You can use whatever you want to. You can lay it out however you want. Over the next 2 sheets then, or the next 2 slides, sorry, I have some other planning formats to help you organise your ideas. I also have some sentence starters if you need those, and some kind of useful, helpful expressions and phrases as well. So you can use you use any of my ideas, or you can just go on and do some writing if you fancy doing that. It's completely up to you. So that brings us to the end of our lesson. Obviously, by now you should have chosen your question, you should have planned, you should have drafted, and you should be in a position to send your work through to your teacher. All the emails addresses are on the next slide. All that remains is for me to say thank you very much. I hope that you have remember persuasive devices and for your speech writing next time. Thank you. Take care, everybody. Bye.